One blast off. Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dog, and we've got a tremendous show for you today. One of my new best friends, Dave Spannhake from Reunion Marketing. This guy's a friggin' genius. Wait till you hear what we got to talk about here. You're going to love it. But before we get started, I'm going to do a little housekeeping. Be sure this broadcast is set properly and goes public. I'll entertain you while I'm setting the... Okay. Here we go. Getting set. Make the broadcast public. All right. There's Dave. Okay. We have a launch. As I mentioned, I've got Dave. Dave, introduce yourself.
Yeah, Dave Spannhake, CEO and founder of Reunion Marketing. Happy to be on again, Jim.
Well, you're at the beach, I understand.
Yeah, it's right in the middle of vacation and having a good time. I spent the whole morning on the beach with my youngest and waiting on my wife and my other two to get here, I guess probably in about 4 hours. So what better way to kill some time than to hang out and talk to you?
Tell me about Reunion Marketing. Now, we talked about this before in person. The title Reunion Marketing, what's that all about?
Yeah, I mean, everybody asks that question. Before starting Reunion, we're 4 years old. We're a team of 50 folks now, and we're growing tremendously, working with about 250 stores now across the country. But before Reunion started, there were 5 other folks that started it with me, and 4 of those guys worked with me at a 33-store car dealership in North Carolina. And then we made a whole lot of headway there, increased the leads and the traffic to that dealer group by 400% over the last 3 years that we were there. The revenue.
Wait. You were in retail.
Yep.
And you did what?
Yeah, we increased the website traffic and the leads for that group by 400%. And then what that contributed to was the revenue went up by 75% for that 3-person group. And we said, we're on to one heck of a strategy here. So we left and we reunited to create Reunion Marketing. And that's where the reunion comes from. Great bunch of guys that were working on the retail side coming over and now helping dealerships on this side. And
now you say you increased the revenues of the dealership. What brand of dealership was that?
I'd say we contributed to, right? Because I mean, it's at the dealership and in the sales team and all those different operations that do that. But we were the marketing department for the group. So we had total stores, I think 39 different franchises all together between them. We had,
so it was a big dealership group.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 33.
Yeah.
So, we had 25 people on our marketing team over there. So it was a pretty big team. It was a great crew we had, and we created some pretty awesome stuff. And then,
this wasn't just old Betty and Ethel in a room with some telephones. This was a pretty big marketing department of a pretty big group.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. When I was with Dyer and Dyer Volvo back in the day, we went from 40 units to 850 units in about a year and a half. And I don't take credit for that. I was one of the team.
Yep.
That makes sense?
Yep, exactly. I mean, what we were able to do is just get more eyeballs looking at the dealership and interacting with the dealership. And I mean, that's the mentality is what are people doing? How are they behaving? And then if you can create marketing to match them, that's where you're going to succeed. But then the dealership, at the same time, they need to have their processes buttoned down in order. And, fortunately worked for a group that did have that. And so that's where a lot of that success came. Get more eyeballs, more at-bats, more ups on the lot, and more sales happen that way.
Well, it's all about the appointments that show and the website visitors that convert. Let me ask you a very serious question. Now, when you were in retail, when that was your full-time job, when you were the marketing department for this large dealership group, have you been able to replicate that with your clients today? Have you been able to do that with anybody else?
Yeah, I mean that's what gets me pumped up and jazzed. And I mean, on vacation, coming back and talking more about it is it's actually we have more information now than we had there. So one of the things that that I'd recommend to anyone in a dealer group is look at the numbers you have and compare your dealerships across the group. So that's what we did. We compared the results of every single store we had, who's doing better here, where, and how. And so now that we work with about 250 and closing in on that number, just shy of that number, but we have all those different dealerships now to compare the results of how effective they are on their homepage or how effective they are on converting and engaging on search result pages or their VDPs or their page or their social media performance. We learn from all those dealers, which allows us to be even that much greater in learning best practices and continuing to build and adapt our product. The more data, the better.
In the last couple of years, even technology marketing has shifted emphasis. Are Google AdWords and clicks as important as social media? What is producing today?
Well, I think they're different. I think a lot of people make the mistake that it's the same kind of traffic or it's the same kind of purpose. If you're going out on Google Ads and you're trying to hit every person who's not in market or at the top of the funnel, you're going to spend a ton, and there's a ton of waste happening with paid search. But there's people also that are going in to Google and they're saying, I want to buy a Honda Accord for sale right now, raising their hands, screaming. You want to get those people. If someone is in market and they're demonstrating, through their words or their audience that they are ready to buy, you want to hit those people. But social media, I think where that gets confusing is that it is a digital media, and people will look at how the traffic behaves on the website and compare it to something like paid search. But paid search is a marketing channel that's to that individual, that one person that's ready to convert. The paid search, social media, is advertising to the masses. So I like to think of that more like how a newspaper used to work. TV or radio, it's a numbers game, and it's a very cost-effective numbers game because of the ability to target to the audiences at a much more individual level, the same way we like in paid search. But it's not something that you want to compare those two apples to apples, because one of them is in market, ready to buy right now, and the other is we're trying to move people to or from not in the market to in market.
So creating a buyer that wasn't a buyer before they got involved, and then somebody that's currently in market. What percentage of consumers would you imagine are in market at any given time?
It's almost like you read my mind. I was thinking, next thing I should do is talk about how many people are in market. Just think back.
I'm a friggin' genius.
Hey, why I like hanging out with you, Jim, is remember, and we're right now on pace to be in the 8th largest sales year. I know it's certainly down over the last couple, but it's still 8th largest all-time sales. And the most we ever had was 18 million. So if we break that out, there's something to celebrate, but we break that out, and that's actually less than 5% of the total population bought a car that year. So if you break that out over 12 months, it actually shows you that even in the best year we've ever had, 99.5% of the population is not buying a car this month.
Well, that's amazing, because for the last 5 or 6 years, we've sold 17 million and a decimal new cars.
Right.
43 million and a decimal used cars.
Right.
So when you stack it up, we're selling slightly more than 60 million new and used vehicles a year.
Yeah. Yep.
And how many licensed drivers do you think there are in the United States?
That I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I'd say, I don't know, 180 million.
Well, you're a little light. It's over 200 million.
200, yeah.
But now let's back up. Those are your qualified buyers, your people that have a driver's license.
Right.
So of the people that have a driver's license, we're cramming 60 million cars into 200 million potential buyers every year.
Yeah.
So every 4th year, they've all got one.
Yeah.
And there's not enough new people. Matter of fact, the millennial drivers are in a receding number.
Right.
So the old people that are dying are not being replaced by the generation coming up. People wonder why car business slows down, not because of economy as much as saturation. And we get close to saturation right now. These cars are lasting longer. They're 84-month financing. These people are marrying these cars. They're not buying them.
Yep.
They can't get out of them. So to be in today's market, I've often said you've got to be better than your competitor who's trying to take the business away from you. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And to that point, the average car on the road right now is like 11 years old, right? I mean, so you got to, it's not just the competitor, but it's also lifestyle you're competing with. I mean, you're competing with just not on the street, or you're competing with not just the Auto Trader, the Cars.com, but you're competing against how money can be spent, and how do you create an environment where you're showing, hey, your money is better spent here. I mean, and that's where the stimulus marketing comes into play. That's not the PPC or the SEO or the website conversion, but what used to be the newspaper and traditional media, and now these programmatic channels like social. You're trying to stimulate people who are not necessarily in market ready to buy, to move them into that buying cycle, so that you're earning that share and demonstrating the value for the dealership that this is where you should spend your money, and that's with us. And then also not with the competitors down the street.
Well, you talk about the Auto Traders, the Cars.com, and frankly, let's do a disclaimer. I don't like those people. I probably like the people. There's a lot of people that work at Cars.com and Auto Trader that I like. I just don't like their company. We've gotten into the mode now where we got vendors stealing your customers and renting them back to you for a price.
Yeah, that's a model that certainly we want to be driving traffic directly to the website, right? It's you look at your closing rates in the dealership. We were talking about operations and process earlier. Your website leads are going to close 2, 3, or 4 times higher than those third-party sites, because you're the sole influencer. They're not sending leads to you and someone else down the street, because you're the dealership. And
back up 1 second. You just said something. You are the sole influencer.
Yep.
When they come on your website, you dominate.
Exactly.
You own. But now, say they get a lead from Cars.com. And I just pick Cars.com at random because I despise them. But it really, really, you get this lead from Cars.com. Does that lead from Cars.com, is it a VDP?
I mean, I look at the VDPs there, and I'm not anti third-party websites. I think there's a place for them in a budget. Certainly, the more we can get people to the website, the better. But I think a VDP is not a lead. And when I look at the back end reporting for Cars.com or Auto Trader, what I end up seeing is I see about 15 or 20% of the inventory getting about 80-85% of the total VDP views. So it's a very small piece of your overall inventory that's getting all those views. And if you look at the same analytics within Google Analytics for your website, you see it's actually the same cars there. So it's a great way maybe to get the influence. But I'm more old school, I guess, is what they might say, where Cars.com and Auto Trader and those third-party sites, that's a lead driver. The VDP views, I'm going to get those same views on my website. You can go in and look at your Google Analytics and see that, or you can look in the back end of there. It's the same cars that are popular, because those are the cars that are hot in the market. But it is a way to amplify and get your message out there and be louder. But leads, that's the number one KPI that I look at when I'm measuring the effectiveness of those third-party sites. And
that's why I am a huge advocate of dealerships hiring a media advertising agency. And you happen to be one of those.
Yep.
As far as lead providers, I'm okay with some of the lead providers. I don't dislike the concept of lead provider. I dislike the behavior of some of them. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like they don't show you. By the way, that's not a vehicle description page they're putting that customer on. It's a picture of a vehicle description page. It's on their website.
Yep.
They're not putting the customer on your website. And in your experience, do some of these lead providers actually have other units from other competitors on that same page?
Oh yeah, I mean, of course, all of them do. That's why it's get them to our website every chance we can. We don't want them to go there. We want them to come to us, right?
Exactly. So here you pay this lead provider a handsome amount of money, and they don't call themselves a lead provider. They tell you they're an advertising source,
right?
Because they don't want to take responsibility for sales. You know?
And costs continue to go up, and so the cost per lead goes up. And I understand the need to try to justify a rising cost per lead, but that's the end all be all, I think, from there, because you can get those same types of people. They're going to 24, 30 different places across their journey. If you don't spend the money there, you can spend it somewhere else and still have a great likelihood to get them.
So where we're going right now with this conversation is you as a media advertising agency, you as a modern generator of traffic, leads, impressions, whatever you do, you are telling me that you can absolutely drive traffic without a lead provider in many instances.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that I would rather maybe do a third-party website than spend money on things like TV or radio, and a lot of those things have become so wasteful. But our primary goal and purpose when we're working with a dealership is to drive as much traffic to the website as possible. So that's certainly priority one, well over those third-party sites, because of that sole influencer principle that we were talking about earlier. And there's a number of ways to do that, and there's some exciting new ways that nobody is doing that I'm also excited to share with you today too.
Okay, that's what we're here for, Dave. Now you've been secretly telling me that you got this huge announcement. Spill it. Come on.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me frame it first. Just
would you like me to do a drum roll?
A little analogy.
Okay. Yeah.
So this is a concept that we've been thinking about for a while. We look at the last two elections, and certainly not to jump into politics in today's world, but there's something that Trump did and that Obama did that was pretty compelling when you're looking at marketing, and that was the way that they were doing their social media advertising. They were getting tens of thousands of different ads that were going out to different people and different audiences. So if there's one audience here, then that message is talking to that audience and about that audience in the ad. And then a whole different segment of the country would see a different ad. And so what they're able to do with that kind of volume was, one, speak to so many different audiences at a very personal level, but two, show those different audiences a number of different things that related to them. So we're really excited. We've created, and this is a very fresh product for us. It came out of beta just 2 months ago, and really excited to get loud at Internet Battle Plan and show just how effective a lot of these strategies are. But what we've created is a product that gives dealerships through Facebook and Instagram and social advertising 30 to 40 different ads for each dealership. And so when we break that down, it's taking segments of the audience. There's again that 99.5% every month that doesn't buy a used car, or the 95% that doesn't buy a car at all, and working to stimulate them and move them into the buying cycle and move them into interacting with the dealership. So we're talking about breaking out audiences into SUV buyers and minivan buyers and sedan buyers and truck buyers. But then with that, say you're a truck buyer, you're a Toyota store, you might see a Tacoma ad, a Tundra ad, all your trucks ad, a used trucks ad for under 15K. But the odds of if you're in that audience of someone who owns a truck, or you're coming off of the lease of a truck, or taking data from third-party sites like Oracle and Polk and Edmunds and those things, that you're showing that you have a likelihood of being in market, and you see all these different ad options, one of them is going to apply to you. And what we've seen with that is the results in driving people to the website, being cost effective as can be, and the behaviors on the website. It's very, very exciting, and nothing like that yet in this space.
Well, how do you segment for specific people like that?
So there's a number of different ways to do that. So one of them is we want to really focus on making sure that the data is clean data. So we have partnerships with Oracle, so that's Polk data too, and Edmunds data, and credit card transactional data out of a lease. And when they're coming out of a lease, they're going to have to go move into another vehicle. They're already owners of vehicles from different years. Facebook has in-market audiences built in themselves too, to couple that with the other data points. But it's incredibly important to go after the right kinds of audiences and know that the audiences are clean. That's why those partnerships are so important when you're you're not just blasting a whole market, because the results when you're just trying to say, hey, entire Atlanta, here's an ad for a truck. There's so many people that are not truck buyers that you're talking to. If you're, again, Toyota store, maybe as the example, Camry buyers or RAV4 buyers, or they might just be luxury buyers only, or they might be, domestic cars only kind of deal. So, I mean, when you start segmenting and targeting those different audiences, and you put them into, I don't like to say just go after domestics or just go after, foreign cars or whatever. I like to go after just people that are in different body styles. If you have young children that are playing soccer, that's more likely to be someone who's going to be a minivan opportunity, because they're young, they're in the market. The kids are playing soccer, baseball, new family, kids are a certain age. Bucketing people into these right audiences that
that would sort of be you, wouldn't it?
Well, I mean, I got my Wrangler. Sarah's my wife, Sarah. She, I drive it, of course, but it's her car, and she'll tell you that too.
What's Mama driving now?
It's Chrysler Pacifica. It's last year's model.
It's sort of an SUV station wagon. Yeah, you're soccer mom.
Yeah. Well, Jack and I came out here in the Wrangler, so we took the top off, and we've been playing around the beach here with that. But we're excited about that too for the rest of the vacation.
I bought a new car this week.
Oh yeah, what'd you get?
Funny thing, I have never owned an import car in my life. Never. I've always had Lincoln Town cars. I had some Lincoln Marks in the day when I had my contract with Ford, and then I jumped over, got a contract with General Motors. I was driving Escalades and Corvettes. I had 9 Escalades and 7 Corvettes since 2000, and I don't know, I had 11 town cars back in the 90s before that.
Change it up.
I bought an Audi Q7.
I do love those.
I mean, I had to call the vice president of Ford at home, Mark LeNave. I called him at home on Saturday and apologized for buying an import.
Yeah.
Because he was going to order a special order Lincoln for me. So, I jump ship.
I love those Q7s. But, I mean, so if we're going back to that principle, though, someone could be an SUV, a potential SUV buyer, and there's a big difference between a Q3 buyer and a Q7 buyer. So I think that's the importance of when you're targeting these individual audiences, giving ad options, because if you saw a Q3 ad, you would have skipped right over it, and you would not have cared about that at all, I bet. But if the Q7 ad would have come up, then that would have been right in your wheelhouse. So that's where, that multitude of ads that is now available through Facebook is so valuable, because if you're not doing that, you could still even have, granular audiences and have 4 or 5 different ads, which the best dealers right now in the country have 4 or 5, but they're still missing out on speaking the right language to the right person. They're still missing out on giving that audience, the many differences within every audience, that right message. But the difference between a Q3 ad and a Q7 ad to you is whether or not you're going to even ignore it at all, or look at it at all, or just flat out ignore it. So that's kind of what we're going for here, is with these 30 to 40 different ads, is we're going to hit the right people cost effectively with multiple options, and one of them speaks to them, and the results have been incredible.
Tell me one of your best success stories recently. You don't need to necessarily mention the dealer unless you care to, but tell me a success story that went from here to there, that you totally transformed their marketing.
Yeah, well, and so we've got success stories for each of our services. I'll stick with social, because that's what we're really excited about announcing. And then we, when it comes to SEO, almost 9 out of 10 of our stores have had all-time highs with traffic, and so correlatively, you get major increases with leads and sales ultimately from that because of the additional at-bats. But with this, what we're really excited about here is that across the board, I'll pick one store, I guess, since you asked for a store. We did a Facebook campaign. They spent right around $2,000, and so the cost.
Wait a minute. They spent about what?
About $2,000 on their ad spend.
$2,000. That's a blackjack chip.
Yeah, it's
that's not serious money.
No, it's it allows you to do a lot for a lot less than TV. I still challenge dealerships to really look at Facebook the way that they used to look at newspaper, and the way that they used to look at TV. because it's a numbers game. You want to hit as many people as you can. It's again moving people from not in market to in market. So that takes frequency, and that takes hitting the right people the right number of times. So I think a lot of
newspaper is very effective if you're training a puppy.
Yeah.
You know,
trying to think but it used to be really effective too. When I was buying media, 14, 15 years ago, I mean, we were buying newspaper ads, and the same kind of principles apply. You needed to have the great looking photo if it was going to be a double truck ad or a full page ad, or you needed to have the right details and the merchandising if you were, in the classifieds and those kind of things. But so the same thing does apply with Facebook and on your website and merchandising. It's just now Facebook allows you to say, hey, instead of everybody maybe going to the classified section, I'm going to target this right people and give them these specific ads that match them.
Okay, so you took their $2,000.
Yep.
What did you do with it, and what did they get out of it?
So we targeted sedans and trucks and SUVs. So we just broke it up into 3 body styles that made up the majority of their inventory. And so for each of them, we had anywhere from 4 to 8 ads per, and then we put some retargeting on the website. So people who look at a specific car on the website, they see that exact car back in the ads in a carousel format, and similar cars too. Other similar sedans or other similar trucks or other similarly priced vehicles. So altogether, we ended up it was 20-cent cost per click. 25-cent cost per click across the entire campaign. So $2,000. You multiply that by divide that by the 0.25. I mean, we're sending 4,000 clicks for $2,000 to the dealership website. Click-through rates for that campaign, it's so much higher than what you usually see. So I mean, this is getting granular and nitty-gritty. But I've got I'll bring it all back together for you in a second. But so that's 3 or 4% click-through rate, which is what the average paid search click-through rate is for social. So it shows you that when you're putting the right ads out there to the right people with the right message, they're clicking on them and engaging with them because they actually speak to that person at a much better rate. But between that and the retargeting ads themselves are 10 cents for every click, and the click-through rate for those retargeting ads being north of 10%. This is just a very cost-effective way to get people to the website. And you and I've joked about this before. Just like badges, we don't need to stick in badges. Like clicks, we don't need to stick in clicks, because clicks don't mean anything unless they're actually doing something on the website. But this is where I was most excited about what happened for them, and this is why one of the reasons why they've seen a surge in sales here because of it is because they go to the website from these ads, and they spend their minute and a half looking at inventory and leave, which is pretty consistent for a good social media ad. The bad one, leave. But there's a part of Google Analytics you can look at, the cohort analysis, where you can measure how often are the people that are coming in from this channel and these clicks that you're driving coming back within a week, or coming back within 2 weeks, or coming back within 3 or 4, because again, these are people that are not in market that we're going after. It's like conquest, or just trying to drive them back in market. So they're not going to make a buying decision right there that second, because that's not the type of people that we're talking to. That's the paid search people that say, I want to buy your car right now. These are the people that haven't even really thought about a car, and then they engage with the ad because it speaks to them. They come to the website, and then when they come back, that's where we started looking at what's the rate of all of these clicks, that these real people that are coming back to the website. And so for these guys, we saw 18% came back within that first week. And then by week 2, still 11% coming back within week 2. So
18%, 11%.
Yeah, 4,000 people.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's we were shocked at how high that was. We knew that we were onto something here with this new social service and strategy, and we've been incredibly excited. But when we looked at that particular piece, that analysis, then we said, we have something really special. This is an industry changer, and we are incredibly excited to get that out there. And it's going to change the way social media advertising is done in the industry, I think.
It sounds like it. Let me ask you, what is the best phone number to get in touch with you?
Yeah, it's and I'm on vacation, but I'll take any phone calls about this service, because obviously you can talk passionate about this one. 919-259. 4614.
Okay.
Or if I happen to be at the beach with
is that it?
It is 919-259-4614.
Fantastic. I'm gonna leave it up there for a minute.
Perfect.
That's
Dave at reunionmarketing.com is my email too, and then I'm always back within a few hours usually on those things.
Yeah, I've always been able to get in touch with you. Now, you're a speaker, one of the featured speakers at the upcoming Internet Battle Plan in Atlanta.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I am so psyched and pumped. Internet Battle Plan 26. This is the 26th time we put this event together. 20 top expert speakers, including you, me.
Great lineup. Some of my favorite people in the industry are out there speaking at that one, including you.
Including me. Oh, shucks. Anyway, Elise Kephart, the YouTube diva, the queen of direct response advertising video. Bobbie Herron, the BDC queen. Yep. I mean, I talked to Bobbie Herron today. She was on a sales desk in a dealership desking deals. I mean, she wasn't.
Sounds like her. She's very hands-on. She's really good at what she does. She's someone who I've come to really admire and respect, and also can call a friend here over the last 6 or 7 years. She's a great person and a hard worker, hard as they come.
Bobbie Herron and Elise Kephart. I mean, and of course, Elise is my protege. I introduced her to the industry when she was working in a dealership, and I'm sure that dealer hates me today because she left. She spoke at Internet Battle Plan 5 in Las Vegas, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago. It was incredible. And I introduced her to the industry. It was so funny that so many people that have started out their first introduction to the national industry was Internet Battle Plan, and now they're mega national figures in our business. It's crazy. Erich Gail is back.
Oh, and he's always great. He's a don't miss speaker for sure.
The #1 internet corporation in automotive in the universe. I mean, they sell more cars, internet sales, than any other major corporation group, period. Documented.
Yep.
I mean, and this guy has spoken at 5 or 6, maybe 7 battle plans and never, ever repeated the same subject. He's always got something new, something exciting. And what I like about Erich Gail, I give him an expanded session. He's got like 30 minutes more than any other speaker. And I always give him the expanded session because he really gets into detail. This is how you do it. Yep. That's what I love about Internet Battle Plan. They can listen to you talking about how you do it, but you got to teach them how they can do it. And I insist that every one of my speakers, every one of our presenters at Internet Battle Plan gives that audience something that's replicatable, something they can take back and do whether they hire you or not.
Yep. That's why I like to frame things with analogies too. I think the dealers are so they're so smart, and their hurdle is that they're different plans at the same time. They have to worry about variable ops and fixed ops and what's going on in each of the different departments. And, they're not necessarily going to be a digital marketing expert because that's why they have partners is for that, because they're managing and juggling so many things. So really when I run into people who are the experts, I'm like, dang, are you missing out on your leadership or delegation to the other areas? Like so many of the expert, GMs and dealer principals are in the space. And that's why I started off the social media thing with the analogy of the political campaigns, because when you can see things and say, okay, this can actually translate to automotive. This works within the automotive industry. It's a whole lot easier to understand the value and see what it's going to do for the dealership, is because it's worked at that kind of major stage and scale.
What is so interesting is when back in the 30s, I believe, it might have been the 20s, but I think it was the 1930s. I wasn't around. I wasn't. No. back in the 30s, there was a hostile attempt to take over Ford Motor Company. Henry Ford was getting a little aged, and there was a court case, and I've read about it, and they asked Henry Ford, "Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this?" And he said no. And then, what makes you capable of running Ford Motor Company? He said, "I can hire people to do that."
Yeah.
And of course, that the dealers have got to realize there are people that can do. I don't know how to do. I'm not a mechanic. I can't fix a car. I can drive one.
Yep.
And I can hire people that fix them. That's just the way it is. So I can't fix a car, but I can drive a car. You don't need to know the technology. You just need to know what the technology is supposed to do and who can make it do it. Does that make good sense?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And if it doesn't work and you have a pretty good idea of, okay, my brakes are making some funky noises, or it's not starting, that could be the starter, or so when you have an idea of what's going on and you learn that, and then you hire the experts to go in and do the fixing and create that solution for you.
Well, unfortunately, so many dealers have gotten comfortable with the vendors they're using. And then they find out that the guy or the woman that is their representative leaves, and they didn't like that technology at all. It was the person they were loyal to, not the business. I tell dealers, always be looking at new things. Don't be comfortable with a vendor because you're comfortable with a representative. You're not comfortable with the service.
Right, exactly. And I think, one of the things that is great about the automotive marketing landscape that I've lived in the last 15 years is it's really not that expensive for a dealership to go try out and test new things. There's this big concern over going and making an attempt at something new or try something new that sometimes is, you're talking about something that's maybe $2,000 or $5,000 or, even $10,000. But then conversely, you see other people go and spend $10,000 on a direct mail that doesn't have any matchback programs or things like that. And it's like, we got to start trying new things and testing out new things. And if it doesn't work, then, but you become so much smarter when you do that. And that's when, I was managing an $8 million budget when I was working for that 33 store group.
$8 million budget. That's incredible.
There was a big group. We had 1,600 people in that organization. But the reason why I've learned as much as I have, was able to take a lot of that to reunion. And, I learn more every day from the geniuses we have working over there. But it's because we're trying new things all the time. So every single month, there's at least 3 or 4 things that I was trying out and testing. And the important thing is when I was trying something out, I said, I want this to either prove or disprove this specific thing. And, when you write it down and you benchmark, here's where I am now, here's what I hope this does, or here's what I expect it to do. And then you can actually measure that and know if it works or not. And I also wouldn't do it just for 1 month. I would do a 3-month period every time, 90 days. Almost everything. If you can't see a measurable impact within 90 days, it's not going to be it's not going to be something that you're going to buy into. Days is usually not enough to really even measure an impact because that's the ups and downs in our industry.
How about Anthony Alagona? Telephone skills. Now, I always have to say that the purpose of a BDC is to take that lead and convert it into a conversation. And the most effective conversations are telephone.
Oh, yeah.
And teaching our people what to say on the phone, how to motivate that consumer from a lead to an appointment, to a contact, if you don't want to call it a lead, to a contact, to an appointment, to an appointment that shows, to an appointment that buys.
Right.
Appointments are gold. I mean, and Anthony Alagona, one of the #1 phone trainers in our industry, is going to be speaking at Internet Battle Plan.
Oh, very cool.
So, I'm trying to cover all bases. We got a brand new speaker, MC Watson. Now, MC, and don't tell anybody, her name's Mary Catherine, but no, I didn't say that. Okay, MC Watson from automotiveMastermind. I have specifically requested that she speak on data mining and equity mining. And, your past customers, and I've said it yesterday, your past customers are your best and cheapest source of new business. And most people do a lousy job with past customers. And no offense, most media agencies do a lousy job with past customers.
Oh, I don't take offense to that. I love the fact that most of them are like that. It just allows us to be that much better, right? I mean, it's if a dealership's not using their equity mining or some kind of data mining tool, they are missing out on, 10 to 50 to 60 different sales every month. I mean, depending on the size of the store. I mean, you got sales on the table using those tools, and every dealership should use those. It's one of the best ROIs in the space. And it goes back to what you said. It's way easier to sell a customer you've already sold before than it is to spend all the money doing the things that are necessary. Like everything I'm talking about with social media is necessary to drive in new people that have never interacted with you before. But that's why the retargeting and the audiences that are built within your own CRM and your data are going to create better results because you've already created a relationship and you've already sold them the first time. And it's way easier to do that, right?
Hey, we got Jimmy Bradford on the sidebar here. We've got Noel Walsh. We've got Bill Schomburg. We've got Kevin O'Brien. We've got some really great people watching this broadcast. And, it's amazing to me, the reach of social media. What we're doing here is phenomenal. We're talking about data mining, equity mining. Now, equity mining and data mining are two different things, and most of our viewers don't know that. They equate the data mining, equity mining. Now, name a CRM, Dave, that you're real familiar with.
Really, eLead is probably the one that we see the most.
eLead.
They're I guess probably the biggest in the space. And CDK bought them not too long ago, but the support we've seen is still been pretty okay.
Say you've got eLead, Dealer Socket. I don't know which one. How many dead leads do you think are in the average dealer's CRM?
Dead lead can mean a whole lot of things. If it says the word dead lead, I bet.
I'm talking about a lead that was submitted. They did not buy. They might have bought elsewhere. They drifted into the past, and we stopped pursuing them, but they're still in the system.
Like a percentage? Gosh, I don't know, 75, 80%. There's a high number of leads.
I have seen as many as 80,000. I have seen as many as 80,000 dead leads in a system.
Yep.
Now, the thing about a dead lead is it's a living, breathing human being. It is somebody that lives in that market area that at one time or another attempted to buy a car from that dealer of that brand. They might have bought elsewhere. They might have not been able to buy. There's something. But anyway, we didn't get that business.
But know things about them, right? That's the exciting thing is things about them. And there was at least an initial conversation there.
And we paid for it.
Yeah.
And nobody's revisiting and working. Even if they bought a car at another dealership, there's a service opportunity. Even if they bought a car at another dealership, they've been in our system 3 years, they are a trade-in opportunity. They like our brand. They live in our market area. They tried to buy from us at one time or another. There's got to be people that data mine and work dead leads. They're not dead people. They're just leads that are no longer actively in the market as far as we know.
I don't know that I've heard a single story of a dealership that committed to build a process around that has not seen success. Everyone who commits to the process ends up selling more cars. It's something that every dealership should be doing. They should start this next month. But just make sure you have a process is the big thing I would say.
When I go in a dealership, one of the first things I ask is, let me see your dead leads. And a lot of people don't even know how to access them. They can't even find them, So once you access your dead leads, what are you doing with them? Have you got a marketing campaign aimed at those people? Because 50% of the people in your service department didn't buy a car from you. They bought elsewhere.
Right. And to take it even like a further, a rhetorical question here, but we're spending as an industry $620 or $630 now for every car we sell. And so all that money going into who those dead leads are, It's getting the most out of those through. That's where I actually like the direct mail pieces. I usually say don't do direct mail, but that's one of the most effective ways to use direct mail, through email marketing campaigns, through Facebook campaigns. All these channels you can go back after and reactivate these people, and you've already made the cost and the investment to get them the first time. So again, it's that much easier to do. And that's what takes me back. Like, if I'm looking at the marketing landscape and how things have changed so dramatically, to go back to what you said early in the conversation, is all these methods to use data are so much more real now than they were even 5 years ago, but especially 10 or 15. To where it's something that just continues to perplex me that so many marketing strategies are still employing these 15-year-old strategies where people will spend $40,000 and $50,000, $60,000 on things like TV and radio, but aren't integrating these incredibly targeted social strategies or the granular PPC or programmatic ways, or using equity mining and different data mining. It's all these things are where the dealers, they were having the highest sales they've ever had, the best lead closing volume they've ever had, the most leads and traffic to the website, the most influence. They're the ones who are taking advantage of all this data and all these targeting options that are available. And so now is the time to quit throwing money at the things that used to work a little bit, and they still work a little bit. But if I'm buying network TV and I'm hitting 6 counties, but I'm selling all my cars in 1 county, well, shouldn't I be targeting in that area and the people that have influence there? And you're going to make way, way, way more cost-effective strategy.
Well, you should be fishing where the fish are biting.
Right, exactly.
I mean, come on. I don't fish at high noon. I relate to fishing in a lot of my stories because I do that. You don't fish at high noon when it's 110 degrees on the water. No, you fish when fish are biting, and you fish with the bait they're biting. I mean, what they're, you're using the proper equipment.
That's where, when people are still buying like network TV and they're hitting several counties that are outside of their sales area, and then they're hitting several demographics that, a BMW buyer or a Toyota buyer, that's a specific audience. A Camry person is in a specific audience. When you think about how many people that you're paying for, you may have a $10 cost per 1,000 people you reach, but you break it down in how many people are out of market or out of your demographic, you're paying $60, $100 for every true 1,000 people that you're trying to reach that are in your audience. And when we start to wrap our head around how much more strategic we can be using these correct channels, these programmatic channels, these targeted audiences, then you're able to get those right messages in volume to the right people. And it's a game changer for your marketing, and you spend way less money and you sell way more because your influence is touching on the right things to the right people.
Well, like Kerri Wise is speaking from TrueCar.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And, a couple of years back, I went to war with TrueCar. I mean,
I remember.
That's legendary. That's legendary what happened there.
That's a top 3 alpha dog moment, I think.
That was an alpha dog historical moment. But, they blinked, they bent. They became much more dealer friendly in my estimation, and I'm proud to have them on my stage. One thing about TrueCar, it's always a deal. I mean, I've heard people complain about it, the grosses, whatever, but it's always a deal. And Kerri Wise is absolutely incredible. She can talk about how to make these leads pay off, and she knows her stats. She knows where the people came from. We've got the dealer teamwork team aboard.
Oh yeah, those are friends of ours. I mean, they are friendly competitors. Actually, James Klaus, who's their VP of sales, he has to wear a reunion shirt that with me a couple months ago. So he owes me a reunion shirt here in the next time I see him.
James Klaus, Sean Stapleton, and Erich Miltsch.
Yeah.
Now, Erich Miltsch, a lot of people don't know a lot about Erich. He's one of the co-founders of Dealer Teamwork, but
great guy.
He was also one of the originating founders of Auction Direct.
Yep.
Auction Direct was the biggest used car independent dealer in the world. And I have asked Erich to speak, get this, How to Build a Used Car Empire.
Yeah, he's good.
He did it with technology. He's going to talk about it. Internet battle plan.
We were at, I think it was one of your previous shows, and afterwards, actually, we went out, the reunion team and the dealer teamwork team, we went out for dinner. I think, what was the name of that restaurant? It was something called like Village Idiot or something, but laughing and joking, and it's that's a good crew over there too. We certainly share philosophies, and they say the same kind of things about us. So that's exciting to hang out with those guys again at this one. Mike Cavanaugh and Max Digital's coming too, isn't he? That's another.
Oh, I was getting to. Oh, hey, Cavanaugh and I have gotten to be pretty good friends.
He's a great guy.
I mean, and he's going to talk about a subject. I wanted to save this because Cavanaugh from Max Digital is going to be talking about how to hold gross profit in a digital world. I did a broadcast last week about how to hold gross profit in today's automotive world.
You need it. It's 10 straight years of gross margins doing this, right? At that.
Yeah, gross margins are going down.
10 straight years.
People don't know how to do it. There's a number of reasons why gross profits have gone down in car dealerships. And I really am good at getting that done. Yep. One of the things is down payment. People do not get down payment today. Down payment is the glue that makes gross happen.
Yeah.
And the number one reason people don't make gross profit today is fear of the money. They're afraid to go for it, and they make excuses. I've been told, Ziegler, you can't do that today. Get out of the way. Just get out of the way. I'll show you how to do it. No problem whatsoever, because people don't go for it. I would hate to think I struck out in life standing at the plate watching 3 pitches go by.
Yeah, got to swing at them. That's what we were saying earlier. Got to try these things. It's not going to work out if you say it's not going to work out. That's for sure.
No, and that's why I'm so glad Mike Cavanaugh has been selling cars his entire life. I mean, this guy is a retail guy turned vendor, and like yourself, retail guy turned vendor.
Yep.
Vendor turned other vendor doesn't impress me nearly as much as a retail person that came out of the industry that felt it, that did it.
And when you understand what's happening, those guys do. They I can't remember. They just recently won an award for the best inventory management tool with what used to be that First Look product, which is something that we're big believers in. We're partners with those guys, but bringing in Mike and all that Mike's been able to accomplish here these last few years, it's tremendous tool. It's one we endorse for sure. Is
a pretty good guy too. Mike Cavanaugh, Max Digital. Let me look at the exact title: Hunting for Gross Profit in Today's Transparent Digital Market. I really get nervous when people do a lot of geek double talk in their titles, but that makes a lot of sense to me. How to hold gross profit today.
Yep.
Now we got Steve Laurys from Call Revu. Mm-hmm. Now I've got no friggin' idea what he's going to talk about, because Steve, I've known Steve for a long time, since he was with the Girly Leap organization in Indiana. Mm-hmm. Mike Leap has been a friend of mine forever and ever and ever. And I know Steve pretty well, but now he's with Call Revu. And I know what Call Revu does, but now we got Steve Laurys telling me he's going to talk about an entirely different subject. And better, best. What is your marketing plan? He's going to talk about your marketing plan, your strategy. And remember, Call Revu reviews your phone calls. They record, they listen, they train. They're all about the quality of your phone interaction. Who do you think blows more deals in a car dealership than any other employee?
Probably someone in the BDC, maybe, when the first interaction.
This is Zieglerism now. I have got no science behind it. Yeah. This is experiential observation. Been in 1,000 dealerships.
Yep.
The person in a dealership that blows more deals than any other person is
receptionist.
The receptionist. Open the envelope. Yeah. The receptionist blows deals more than any other employee in the dealership. because he or she believes it's their job to get that customer to voicemail as quickly as possible. And people don't talk to voicemail statistically.
No, I mean, today,
never come back.
I haven't listened to a voicemail probably in 2 years. I mean, I look at the transcript that my phone gives of it, and I have a pretty good idea of what's, and then I'll say, okay, yes, I'll call this person back, or no, I won't. Mostly because I'm on these different lists now, and so people are constantly, trying to sell this, that, or the other that's completely irrelevant to the automotive industry or the automotive space, and so I can usually tell within 10 seconds, and that's why getting someone to actual communication is so key. But
it's amazing. So anyway, my friend Stephen Laurys is going to be speaking at Battle Plan on your marketing plan, and I've got no real concept what he's going to talk about, but I know he's good. So are you ready for this? One of your competitors, Angus Fox from Wikimotive.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Now, Wikimotive, those guys are absolute certifiable nuts. I mean, they need to put them in.
Greg Gifford now recently, right?
Well, Greg Gifford's there, but he's not allowed to do automotive.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he's going to no compete with his previous employer, website company. So, and Greg is one of my better friends in the industry, and
smart guy.
But they have diversified into another industry. You ready? Cannabis. He's in the cannabis industry until he can get back into automotive when it's non-compete.
That is too funny.
I think it's hilarious, but Angus Fox is brilliant. He'll become one of your better friends. He and I have a lot of the same background. We know a lot of the same people, and I'm glad to see he's settled in with. Do you know Tim Martell?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, Tim Martell is certifiable. I think they just let him out on the weekends. I'm not sure. He's a great friend of mine, and that's the thing. It's a society of friends. Christian Jorn from Remora,
mm-hmm.
and of course Frank Lopes is coming.
Oh yeah,
Frank. I talked to Frank yesterday. I said, Frank, my God, you're speaking at Internet Battle Plan. You're speaking at this conference. You become the Bob Barker of the car business. You're all over the place.
He is. He speaks at. Well, he's got to speak at 15 different things every year, right? He's always out there, but he does a great job. That's why people want him out there.
He's an MC. I'm telling you. But he also is a digital guy. And David Villa.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Now, David Villa and I are in a couple of business ventures together. And, of course, he does direct mail. But he's going to be talking about basically team building and some of the things he does with his phone rooms. And David is just one heck of a motivator. He's an extremely sincere religious guy. There's a lot of religious people, but I preface with sincere. He lives his life.
Yeah.
So there we go. We've got,
a ton of folks coming here to this one. That's what we're excited to be part of the noise out there too, and all the sharing. And that's, like I said before, there's a lot of folks there that are industry friends of mine and great companies, and a lot of them are part of the mix that I used to pay or buy when I was buying media for the 33 store group. It's you always bring the best of the best out there, and it's not the out of the box noise. It's what's actually best for your dealership. You always bring. So
Internet Battle Plan.
There again,
the cocktail reception. That's one thing about my wife, Miss Debbie, when she puts together the food, the sit down lunches, the breakfast. And the cocktail reception, we've got Dano Blenkowski, the party animal. A lot of people think this guy's a DJ, but he's actually a celebrationist.
Oh, I like that. Celebrationist. I might use that one myself. I don't know.
Dano Blenkowski. He is absolutely phenomenal. He's going to be doing the cocktail reception on the 9th, the evening of the 9th. And open bar. That's one thing that Debbie and I, we went to a couple of conferences where they give you 2 little paper tickets, little cheesy tickets, and you can get 2 drinks. Now, Open bar, name brands on the bar. We're doing it right. Debbie does it first class or not at all. So, Internet Battle Plan. Dealers and general managers, no charge. I mean, I want the decision makers there. You know why I do that? What do you think?
So you can get good ideas and direct feedback from the people that are seeing it and hearing it and seeing how it works.
Well, the reason I want the dealers and general managers there, and by the way, dealers and general managers, no charge, even if you don't bring paid attendees with you. If you just come by yourself, you're no charge. I don't require that you bring people to have a no charge ticket. I know some conferences do that. No, dealer principals, general managers, relatives of the dealer principal. You know, some of the dealer principal's kids are going to be the dealers one day. Many of them are. Some of them are very competent. Others are just lucky sperm club, but it doesn't matter. You know, we've met those people. You know. You will use that again, won't you?
Well, I'm not going to say that on air, but that's pretty good.
Well, I know many second, third generation dealers that are extremely confident, and then there's the others. You know, and I didn't say that on air. Yes, I did. But anyway, relatives of the dealer are no charge as well. So, Internet Battle Plan, the 9th and 10th of September. Do you know we've been on an hour? I'm having the best time.
Oh, it's always fun. I know these typically go about 45, but it's just like last time. It went long. It's just great talking to you. I mean, I'm real excited about coming down there in just over a month. Okay,
so if a dealer calls you, tell me the phone number again. Joe Haley's on Joe Healy's on the side. Corey Taylor. Hey, Bill Schomburg, if you're still with us, one of you guys put this phone number in the comments. What is your phone number?
919-259-4614.
One more time, slowly.
Yep, 919-259-4614.
Fantastic. The website is internetbattleplan.com. This is Dave Spannhake from Reunion Marketing. And you've got his phone number. You've heard his track record. You know they're doing some good. How many employees do you have now, Dave?
Yeah, 52 now.
52.
Yeah, it's been an exciting journey. We were working out of apartments 4 years ago, and our strategies and processes have worked, and it's allowed us to grow up to pretty large team. But we are just getting started. It's there's a lot of exciting stuff that we're doing and building.
What's amazing, because my wife Debbie, thanks Corey Taylor, my wife Debbie, 35 years ago or so, I came home one day. And I had my cardboard box packed. I've quit the dealership. You did what? And I was making right at $200,000 a year a long time ago, which was incredible money. And I had quit that job. And she said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I want to start a consulting company." Who else is doing this? Nobody. I'm creating an industry.
Yeah.
When I started in this business, I had no competitors whatsoever. I was pioneering. I was breakthrough. I'm going to consult car dealerships. And I had to promise her that if I couldn't make it work in 90 days, I'd go back in the car business. If I couldn't make a living. And we did very well with it. We had 40 employees at the height around 2006. I had 1,000 feet of offices, 40 employees. My classroom would seat 200. So then 2008 happened.
Yeah, that was a tough time to be in the industry for sure.
We laid off everybody and downsized tremendously. I am so proud to be your friend. I met you at the Women in Automotive Conference about two or 3 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago, yep.
And we hit it off instantly. You spoke at One Battle Plan so far. This is your second time on stage with me. And
thanks again.
We had incredible commentary last time. What are you speaking about this time? What's the subject? What is your title?
Well, we're going more in depth into some of those social strategies and audiences, but it's the whole conversation is about speaking to the right audience is with the right messages that's going to help resonate and create sales and leads for the dealership. So I can't remember the exact title, but it's something about a little bit more succinct on that.
But this is a new presentation you basically haven't given anywhere else, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is a brand new, fresh one. I think last time I spoke about responsive search ads and leveraging data networks within your group and just sharing a lot of industry data about the right way to do SEO and SEM to the individual also, and which is a great story, and that was a lot of great conversations. But just like Erich, I've spoken now about 50 times now in the space, and since starting Reunion, and I give a different presentation every time. I think it's
well, some people only have one presentation with 20 titles.
Yeah, that's I've seen a couple of those, and it gets a little boring after seeing the same presentation even twice, let alone 50 times. And you call people out though. You say no same presentations. I mean, that's in your rules that you send out to everybody, which I get for the audience.
You're telling them behind the scenes now, but in the rules of Internet Battle Plan, you are not allowed to repeat a presentation you've done before.
Yep.
And that's why we have such great reputation. Well, Dave, we are now 1 hour and 6 minutes.
Yep. Is that time? Can we get back to the beach here?
Let's go back to the beach.
All right.
Thank you for being here. Dave Spannhake, Reunion Marketing, Internet Battle Plan, September 9th and 10th. Be there.
Thanks again.